Hello, and welcome back to the Dungeons & Dragons Podcast UK. My name is Yasmin, and I will be the DM.
Hi, my name's Colin, and I play Cuin de Greymont, a paladin from Gavany.
Hi, I'm Spencer. I play Caddo Chasseur, a cleric also from Gavany.
Hi, I'm Brian, and I play Ogvar Shawfoot, a ranger from Kessig.
Hi, my name is Samantha, and I play Elora Greyvale, a sorcerer from Nephalia. After stowing away her headwear in the party haversack and freeing her familiar, Elora approached the transportation with extreme trepidation. Her panic caused pandemonium, with both Ogvar and Orland vehemently declaring their displeasure. No one else en route escaped the debacle either, as Rowan was royally rammed up the rear end by the runaway cart, and Esther was indignantly introduced to the less than sunny side of her companion sorceress. The brake lever left the cart shortly before its occupants, and the team were reunited once more. After some nifty negotiating, an outraged Orland ejected Elora's hat, and finally, everyone turned their attentions to following the trail of some fiendish footprints. Episode 72: Dire Discoveries and Dark Deeds.
Guys, I have an idea. In Orland, we have a potion of gaseous form. So if somebody drinks the potion, you can go through one of the cracks in the boards and you can get to the other side, cancel the effect, and you can move whatever is there. It's just an idea. What do you think?
Yeah, but we don't know what's on the other side, Elora. If we send one person the other side and they re-metamorphise into human form and there's 48 killer rats that side, then they're in a bit of bother, aren't they?
Yeah, but the point is you wouldn't go into another solid state if there was something there. You would just come back through the crack you just got through.
Oh, I've never used this potion before. So are you lucid and able to see and stuff while you're in gaseous form then?
Oh yeah, you can't take any other actions. You can't attack people, but you can drift through the smallest of cracks, including all of your stuff that you have with you.
But can you still see and hear and all of that sort of George?
I believe so. I'd have to hang on a minute. I need to just bear with me.
Because otherwise, whoever goes through won't be able to report back what they've seen, will they?
No, that you can come, but you don't have to. Hang on a minute.
Is there obvious light coming through it? Yaz? Does it look like basically there's a room on the other side?
So what you can see coming through the kind of edges and the gaps is this very kind of cold, dank light. It's more of an ambient light than like a torchlight. It's definitely not torchlight or firelight. It's more of an ambient, natural, dank kind of light.
Does it feel like we've got back up to surface level then?
Maybe a wisdom check.
What, a straight wisdom check?
Yep.
14 all in.
14 all in. Okay. You get the feeling that this light, it's almost like when you're stood in a basement with kind of lights, like lights up onto the street above you, like windows onto the street above.
Right. Okay.
It's that kind of light where you're kind of, it feels dank, it feels cool, and this light that's shining through is a very kind of blue-green. It's very kind of like spooky basement kind of vibes.
And am I getting a sense that there's anyone or anything the other side, or is life all quiet and still?
So if you want to do that, you're going to have to make me a listen check.
Right. Oh, that's right. We like that. Right, so I suspect that's going to work no matter what I add to it because it's an 18 before I add anything to it. Oh yeah, 21 all in. We like that.
Nice.
Okay. All you can hear is the sound of kind of the odd drip of water and the occasional kind of scurry and squeak. You would probably, with your previous wisdom roll, you'd probably guess that if there had been anyone in here, they would have heard you coming down the track a long time ago.
Okay. Right, so guys, I've had a look as best I can through the cracks, and I don't think there's anybody other side. I think we're going to come out in somebody's basement, by the sound of it.
Right.
I can hear some squeaking, but I think that's like normal size rats. I don't think it's sort of horrible evil big ones. I think it's just like a
Okay.
normal rat.
Well, look, gaseous form. Your only method of movement is a flying speed of 10 feet. You can enter and occupy the space of another creature. Target has resistance to non-magical. Well, you'll have to read it, guys. You'll have to read it because I'm just reading
But
it
by
straight
the-
out of it.
But by the sound of it, if we send somebody strong through and they come back into human form, because there's nobody the other side, they'll just be able to move whatever's blocking the way and let us through, wouldn't they?
That's exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we know there's nothing the other side. We'll probably be all right doing that, wouldn't we?
Well, it wouldn't make any difference if there was because you're in a gas form. So
Yeah. No. What I'm saying is, once you get the other side, you want to be in non-gas form, so you can move whatever it is that's blocking our way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Go through the gap. If there's something there that you don't want to be there, you can come back. Otherwise, you can go through, see what's there, put yourself, drop the gaseous form, and then move whatever it is you need to move. Turn yourself back into
So
solid
you can
material.
you can drop it at will. The person we send through isn't stuck in gaseous form for 20 minutes or whatever.
It says it lasts up to 1 hour, so I'm assuming that you can drop it at any time. It doesn't specifically say that, but it does say up to 1 hour. So most spells you can dispel them.
Right then. Okay. Well, who do we reckon is the best person to send through to try and move whatever's blocking the way?
I suppose I'll do it.
Thanks for volunteering, Kewin, because I
Well,
thought
that's
you were probably
usually
the best man for the job.
my expertise.
Right. Well, Ogfar, you're going to need to ask Orland for that because he's got it.
Okay. So, Ogvar, who has still got the candle to the minecart in his hand, is going to just and say, Orland, can you please present me with a bottle of gaseous form?
Abracadabra. Blech. And he kind of vomits up this bottle and it goes bing into the air in front of you, and you're able to catch it easy enough. So yeah, you now have a bottle in your hand.
Oh, thank you very much, Orland. Here you go, Kewin. Bottoms up, as they say.
Oh, right, okay. Okay then. Ha ha! Here goes! I'm gonna
Okay.
drink the potion.
So you uncork it, and it's literally like a coiling mass of gas in this bottle. You uncork it and you go to drink it, and it's like doing a reverse breathalyzer. You just
Okay.
Well, he sort of
Right.
inhaled that.
Yes, it was rather weird. Right. I suppose I'd better go through. Poodle pip. So I'm going to pass through the space to the other side. Just have a quick look around, just in case I can see anything.
Okay, so as you finish drinking and you as you say Tudor Pip to the rest, your entire form almost collapses in on itself as you just kind of dissipate into this misty fog. And yeah, you're able to kind of easily find a gap, and you just kind of slide through. And when you emerge into space beyond, you can see that you are floating in what appears to be a basement. You'd say it's probably about 40 foot square room, quite big. You can't see any stairs leading up. You can see some various kind of bits of furniture scattered around some rooms, some barrels, some boxes. You can see kind of like a table. But as you look at where you've just come through, you can see that a very large barrel, which has been set inside a crate. So it's this barrel, and around it, it's got almost like a scaffolding of wood, which sets it into like kind of a very cube shape. This has been pushed in front of this opening.
And Laura's going to lean on the door and whisper through the crack, Chewin, before you change back and you move that object, you're a gaseous form. Just have a float around and find out what you can see. Have a good look around. Can you hear?
Oh, yes,
I'm assuming you can hear it.
I suppose I better.
You can't.
That's
You can't
a
talk.
good idea.
You can't talk to me. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think so. Because
You'd
you
imagine
become
not.
insubstantial, misty, and translucent.
She's still visible then, so he's still like a.
Yeah, he's like a ghosty.
Ooh.
So he's in human form. He's just a gassy human.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
It says it's material
My partner
armor,
would agree with that.
including It's saying
Yeah.
it's material
So-
armor its material armor, including natural armor, becomes worthless through its size. Dexterity, deflection bonuses, and armor bonuses from force effects, for example, from the mage armor spell, still apply. The subject gains damage reduction 10/magic and becomes immune to poison and critical hits, but you can't attack or cast spells with verbal, somatic, material, or focus components.
Yeah.
you can't-
So
So you can't speak.
No.
So looking at him, where you had the brief glance of him as he turned into this kind of misty form, you can see that from kind of the waist down, his legs kind of fizzled out into just kind of like a tail of smoke floating in the air. But from the waist up, you could see that his skin and all of his arm and whatnot took almost this, went slightly translucent, and it's kind of got these waves of like gas and mist rolling off them constantly. And he's slightly shiny, a bit like a kind of like a glowy ghost, but he's got kind of like coils of mist trailing off of him, and he's like just squeezes through gaps and just kind of dissipates through the gaps almost. So yeah, but
So,
no, that's
if he can't communicate with us, can he can't speak to us, but can he hear us?
yes, he can hear you. Yeah,
Oh, right. So he would have heard Elora's message.
yeah,
He just can't communicate back whether or not he's understood it.
yes.
Well, I'm gonna say, sort of like put my thumb up or my hand, and I'm gonna turn around and have a look in the basement.
Okay, so you're actually going to take a very brief wander around and take a look.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you can make me a. I don't want to say a search check because you're not. Search is when you're looking for a specific thing. So give me a second. I'm gonna say if you can make me a gather information check, please.
Oh, we don't use that one very often.
No.
It's slightly odd because if you're looking
No.
for stuff, you'd usually use wisdom. But a gather information is charisma based, so it's a bit off. But I'm just gonna go and say use a gather information.
17.
Okay, so a 17. Right, that's pretty good. 17. So yeah, 17 is pretty good. As you float around the room, you're able to take in the details. So you can see and you can hear the occasional kind of little scamper of a rat as it moves across the room. But these are normal sized rats, like kind of small rats. And they're kind of like dark brown, black rats just kind of scampering around the room. But as you take a look around the room, the opposite wall to the one which has got this hole, so this hole in the wall is kind of in the dead centre. The wall opposite, there is a door. And this door, as you look at the back of the door, you can see that it's got several heavy-duty locks on the back. And it's got a very small kind of high-up grate in the window, and it's got bars over the grate. It looks very, it looks like the door's been fortified, so the door looks really really new in comparison. It looks really strong, well reinforced. But going around the room, you can see there's like a couple of beds on the one side, really scraggly bedding, torn up old blankets, kind of moulding and mildewy kind of pillows. It looks really nasty, very unidentifiable stains on them. They look rank. The beds themselves are kind of half broken. You can see one of them, the legs kind of snapped off and it's been chocked up with books, and these books have gone kind of green and fuzzy with mildew, and they've got like all the pages have wrinkled up, and they're actually starting to sag in the middle from the weight that's been put on the bed as it's kind of pushed down. It's actually boring through the book. There's a small table in there, again the same kind of wood, this kind of very kind of grey brown drab dingy old wood. It's scratched up. You can see on the surface there being like kind of tally marks scratched into it, perhaps where they've been playing some sort of game and just keeping track of who's winning. It's, there's some bits of food hanging around, some mouldy bits of food. But I think probably the most disturbing thing that you find in the room is in the back corner you come across what looks to be kind of a pile of bones. And as you look at the bones and you look a bit more closely, you can see that some of them have still got scraps of flesh on, but other bones, they look like they've been gnawed, like some kind of giant creature, some giant rat has been gnawing on the bones, leaving these great big indents and kind of cuts in the actual kind of bits of bone themselves. You can see some of them have been cracked apart by what looks like a really big amount of force. And when you look at these bones and you start to kind of look at them and think, what kind of animal has that kind of bone? You come to the gruesome realization that this isn't a bone from an animal. That's a human femur. And as you look around, you can see more and more bits around the room, knuckle bones cast into corners and kind of digits. You actually, as you look at the table, you actually realise that rolled under the table there is a human finger, full finger with all the flesh on it. It looks slightly kind of gnarled and wrinkled, slightly desiccated, but there is a human finger under the table. So yeah,
That could come in handy. You never know when you need to point something out.
pull my finger.
This way you say you can't see the point. But boom.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Thank you.
Can
Thank you very much.
the barrel that is blocking the doorway, can you tell if there's anything in it?
I don't know. Can Colin tell if there's anything in it?
Is Colin even looking at it?
Well, he's having a good look around the room, so I'm just wondering if it's full of liquid, it's going to be really hard for him to move. But if it's an empty barrel, he might be able to get it moved.
Yeah, I'm going to check the barrel.
Yep.
That's in, to see if it's if there's anything visibly in it.
Okay, so going over to the barrel, you can't visibly tell if there's anything in it. It is just a big barrel. And when I say big barrel, I mean it's like a 6-foot high barrel, kind of like the ones they have back in the guild, which are kind of hung over the grates to fill up loads and loads of cups at the same time. It's one of these type barrels. So visually, you can't tell.
So I can either A, come out of gaseous form, or B, go back and go back the other side and come out of gaseous form.
Well, I'd assume if it's got liquid in it, you could always make a hole in it with your sword and empty it, and then it'll probably be able to move it. You just won't be able to move it.
Yeah, but I
if
wouldn't
it's
know
full.
until I. But that's the thing. If I do that and I get attacked, there's nothing I can do. I'll be by
But
myself.
there's nothing else in the room with you, are you? So unless if it's a sealed barrel, which is the assumption, because you can't see what's in it. If it's a sealed barrel, You would hope nobody's sealed anything living in a barrel.
Yeah.
Would he be able
Okay, I'll give it.
Would he be able to tell if there's any noise coming from the barrel?
Right.
Okay,
I'm
Colin.
just going to go. Oh.
Colin.
Yeah.
Colin.
Yes.
Take a bit of advice. You're currently in a gaseous form, which means you can slip through gaps.
Oh.
Ah.
I'll go up the spout to see if there's anything in there.
One moment. Just be aware that it says something about water here. You cannot enter water or other liquid.
Yeah, well, he won't know until he tries, will he?
No, that's true. Just mechanics.
Okay.
I'm going to
Yeah.
retrieve
I'm gonna
that middle
try-
finger from under the table.
When you demonstrated, it clearly wasn't a middle one. I was wondering. You went like that.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
I'm going like that now.
I'll go up trying to get up the spout of the barrel. See if
Okay.
there's anything inside.
So as you attempt to get up the spout of the barrel, your form easily slips through, leaving you inside a dark void.
Oh.
This is where you get pissed on
Can
the
I
fumes of the barrel.
Can I see anything?
It is a pitch black barrel. You can float around, and by floating around, you can tell that a great proportion of this barrel, well, actually, most of this barrel is empty.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to go back out the spout.
Yep, we get a nice
That's
mug
okay.
of Colin.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go to myself. Right. Sod it. I better get the others, and I'm going to come back to normal form.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
okay.
The mist rolling off your top body of your body, it peters down your form, leaving your top half solid again, and then eventually running down your legs, which re-solidify. And you're now stood in the middle of a room, and you can touch things.
There's plenty of things in here I wouldn't like to touch. Right, I'm
Touch
going
away.
to attempt to pull the barrel out of the way.
Yep, strength check.
21.
Yep, you're able to pull this box frame barrel. You're able to pull it away, and as you pull it away, it kind of almost it wants to naturally slide to the right. So you pull it to the right, and leaving, you can now see down the corridor, which is lit, and you can see these 3 planks and your friends.
Okay, I'm gonna walk up to the planks and go, oh, hello. I suppose I better get these off.
Well, hello,
So
Kieran.
I'm going to use my grappling hook,
Okay.
and as the prongs are bent backwards, I'm going to use them as a lever behind the frame and the nails, as one would use a pry bar normally.
Yeah.
I would use the
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty good. They pop off pretty easily. You don't need to make any checks. You found a really easy way to do this. Yeah, you managed to get all the planks off.
Okay, then you lot. It's a bit grim in here, but I'd definitely say there's something not quite right around here. Come on, I'll show you.
What is that smell? It doesn't smell good, does it?
So does
No,
Colin relay
it
everything
looks-
that he's seen?
No, as you walk into the room, you will have seen what Colin saw. So you'd have seen the door, you'd have seen the bed, you'd have seen the books, you'd have seen the pile of bones, you'd have seen all of this. Kieran isn't going to turn around and say, I saw this. You are going to see this as you walk into the room.
Okay.
And did you say
Harry's-
the light was coming from some sort of high windows?
Yeah, so along the one side, the left-hand side of the room, there's a couple of kind of really high, basically at the very top of the room. You can tell they're very thick glass, like a couple of inches thick. Glass, very thin, narrow glass strips, which are embedded into kind of the brickwork.
Is there anything that you can drag over to stand on to look through the windows?
There's a couple of rickety-looking chairs,
There's a bloody great barrel.
and that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Can we drag the barrel over and have a look?
I don't know. Can you? Are you trying to drag it?
No. I'm going to
me
ask. Yeah, I'm going to ask the boys to drag the barrel over, and then I'll
Yeah.
stand on the barrel. So they give
Yeah,
me a leg up.
This is quite a tall room. I did forget to mention. This isn't like a short, squat room. This room is like 9 foot tall. It's big.
Right. So if the barrel is 6 foot and they drag it over underneath the window, if they give me a boost up, I'd get on my knees and actually have a look through the window.
So I'm not going to ask for any checks because Colin has just managed to drag the barrel over fairly easily. So yeah, you drag the barrel over. It's a bit of a bumpy ride. The floor's not even. There's some kind of pushed up stones. There's some like kind of debris all over the place. But you pull the barrel over and you get it seated under these kind of long windows. You manage it up there. They'll probably give you a boost up. And looking through the windows, make me a spot check.
Okay.
Does this room look like a prison to anybody else?
That's a 16 all in.
Okay, 16 all in, you are not able to see much at all. This glass is several inches thick. The most you see is some vaguely distorted, darkened lumps.
So it's like looking through a milk bowl bottom.
Thicker.
Oh, okay.
This glass is several inches thick.
Oh, right, so really obscure.
It's like a slab of glass. It's like a glass brick.
Okay.
This room feels like it's a prison.
Can't see anything out the windows, guys. The windows are mega thick. They're like glass blocks.
Well, yeah, Elora, and if you look at the door, it's got enough locks on it for keeping something. They want whatever they put in here. They want it properly kept in here, don't they? There's really thick windows. There's a really thick door with lots of locks on it. It's almost like we're inside a prison.
Yeah, but look at the scratch marks on those bones. I'm guessing that what they're trying to keep in, we don't really want to meet. So where is what they keep in here gone?
Well, we didn't pass it in the other corridor, did we? So
No. So there has to be another way out.
perhaps Kewin's suggestion's right. Perhaps it is some sort of were-rat, and they only stick it in here at times of the full moon.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh dear. Well, do you think that's something to do with the moon and the shadow fell? Could that be another one of these weird things?
Oh, could be, but who can remember what phase of the moon it is at the moment? Are they likely to stick it in soon, or because otherwise we're stuck in here?
Oh, I don't know. Is there another
I mean, I had a
way
quick
out?
look at that door. Does anybody think they can find a way through that door?
Oh, so it got locks on it or what? Let's have a look at it.
It's got loads of locks on it. Let's have a closer look. So let's go. I'm going to go and have a closer look at the door.
Okay, so as you get closer to the door, you again see what Kewin saw. It's a very thick, reinforced door. It's got these big, thick hinges on it. It's got this very small kind of letterbox glass, and again, this glass is really, really thick with these big iron bars over it. But the interesting thing comes when you look at the locks. The locks are really, really sturdy. You can tell they are very high quality locks and certainly weren't cheap. The interesting thing here is that the locks are on the inside of the door.
Ooh, so they're trying to keep somebody from getting in rather than somebody getting out.
And when you look at the locks, and you actually take a closer look, because you look at them, and well, immediately you thought, oh yeah, there's 6 locks. When you think about it, you look at them, and upon closer inspection, only 3 out of the 6 locks are locked. And when I say locks, I mean these aren't kind of padlock type locks. These are like key in door locks.
Are they pickable locks?
All,
Yeah.
Well, all locks are pickable, I suppose. But
You want me to have a go?
do we think the locks are to keep whatever what they the person? Do you think a person comes in here and locks themselves in because they're worried about what they might do when they're in rat form?
Could
Or do you
be.
think people lock themselves in here to keep away from whatever's on the outside?
Looking at these locks, they are the kind of traditional key in turn locks. They're not kind of any fancy locks, but you can tell. I'm just going to clarify here, because when I say you can tell that 3 of them are unlocked, you can tell because looking down the kind of small gap between the door and the stone, you can tell that only 3 of the bolts are actually in.
So we can see 3 dead bolts, and so 3 no dead bolt, 3 with dead bolt.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
so my point here is working on your theory. Where is the occupant if 3 of those locks are locked? That would intimate that somebody's come in here and locked the door. And if your theory is correct, then they would only come in here when they are in were-rat form, if that's what it is.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can Ogvar look through a lock and see if the lock goes all the way through so the key can be entered from both sides?
You may. When you look through the lock, you can indeed see that the lock goes all the way through.
And are there any keys in from the outside?
From the outside, you can't see any keys in the door, no.
Okay, so you can see straight through a wall.
Yeah, so all of the holes, I mean, 1 or 2 of them are covered, but you might suspect that they're probably kind of where the latches come down over the top. But looking through the holes, you can see daylight. And you can see on the other side what appears to be a roiling mass of liquid.
Okay, so have a look. You can see through the holes, and there's something quite bizarre on the other side. It's like a moving pool.
It's the sea.
Oh, it's the sea. It's not very odd. It's the sea.
So we must have got down by we're down by near the docks again.
So, do you want me to try and pick these locks?
Well, we've got to get out somehow, I suppose, haven't we? Who has anybody got any lock picking experience?
Yeah,
Who was best at the game?
me.
I can't remember the result of the game. Who did best at what was it called? Loony lock picks, wasn't it?
That would have been me, sir.
Was it? Oh well, then you're the gal for the job, then, aren't you?
Well, I can try. Can't guarantee it. Okay. The first thing. Yeah, Kieran, you got an idea?
Is the water in the distance, or is it literally just the other side of the door?
Ooh, I'll check.
Yep. So looking through, you can tell that you are not too far off the waterfront at all. It's difficult to say, but looking out from where you are and kind of considering the distance that you've travelled and the turns you've taken, you'd say you're probably still in the town.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll say that. We're still inside the city. We're close to the water, but we're not like stepping out into it.
Right.
Okay.
Elora's going to cast Silent Portal on the door, which negates any sound of doors being opened. It says even the squeakiest door opens without a sound when under the effect of this spell.
Okay.
So she's going to cast that.
Sounds like a good spell.
It works for windows, chests, and anything else as well.
Yep.
So she's going to cast that, and then she's going to have a go at lock picking. So you're going to start on the first lock.
Yep. No. You go to pick this lock, and although you can feel you've got the kind of point, you go to turn it and it's just too heavy. This lock is too heavy.
Okay, I'm going to attempt the next one down. I can't see what I've just bloody rolled. Oh, God. That's even worse. That's an 8. And
Yep. No.
the third one is also a 14. So
No.
I'm going to turn to the others and say, I'm getting nowhere with these locks. I was good with padlocks, but these locks, they're a little bit different. Does anybody else fancy trying?
I think you were the most apt for the job, and I think possibly another method may be required. So, is there any boxes or anything else in the room that besides the barrel?
Yeah. So around the room, there are several crates and several barrels.
Okay. Are they openable? Is there anything inside anything?
Do you want to make me an investigation check?
Should we
Right.
split up and have a
So-
really good check of the room, shall we, people? Should we split up and have a good old check of the room around? Because there's those beds to have a look through and... Yeah, so should we divvy up the room and take sort of like a quarter each? Or a fifth each, I suppose, because we've got Esther with us, haven't we? I keep forgetting about Esther. And explore a fifth of the room each in great detail to see if we can find another way out of here.
So, okay, to start off with, who's searching what area of the room?
I'll go just the crates and the barrels.
Okay.
I'll do the beds.
I'll do the bones and over in the other corner, and
Okay.
and Elora will do whatever we best.
Yeah.
Okay, so Laura, you're going to do things like the table and bit other bits. And probably with Esther. Okay, so if you all want to make me a search check.
Search. Search.
19. Thank you.
19, okay.
That one from Ogvar.
Oh no.
Oh, it was going so well as well.
It was. Well, at least we got them both out in the first session. The 1 and the 20.
Yeah, true. I got a 19 as well.
19 and Elora.
Natural 20.
Ah, there you go.
Woohoo.
You can't talk, but
That's it.
but you're rolling dice. There we go.
Okay, so starting off with Ogvar, the unfortunate Ogvar. As you go to the first kind of crate, you go to push the lid off because you can feel it slightly loose. And as you push the lid off, you kind of push, and you have a massive 2-inch long splinter embed itself into the meat of your thumb.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, why did I choose this
You
Bloody
take
box?
4 points of damage
Ooh,
and a further 1 point of emotional damage.
emotional damage. Do we mark that off the sheet? Do we?
You can if you want to.
Okay.
It might make you more liable to crying later.
Caddo, you take the risk of searching the beds.
Oh, God.
As you search the beds, you come across several very odd things.
Oh, no.
The beds themselves, the bedclothes, are very, they're torn up, they're very mildewy, mouldy, they don't smell nice, and they're covered in really unidentifiable stains, which would probably be better off being unidentified. But as you're
To a
kind of
priest.
Yes. As you're going through this bedding and you're kind of poking around and looking at stuff, you are noticing that a hell of a lot of this bedding is very torn up into strips and then kind of pushed into like the headboard or the footboard. It's all torn up into very, very long strips of material. Less of bedclothes and more of nesting materials, perhaps. You do come across several other things, so as you're going through and you're kind of like turning pillows over, there are things falling out. There's a couple of raunchy photographs which fall out. There's a dagger, just a simple iron dagger, which falls out onto the floor. And you find a small ring, which falls out of a pillowcase and rolls across the floor. When you pick it up, there's a slight, almost staticky feeling to it. But the ring itself is immensely cold to the touch. It's almost pure black with 2 silver bands round it and a moonstone in the middle. And you look at this, it's really not something you'd expect someone living in this kind of condition to have. You could probably, with an intelligent kind of guess, you can probably say it's stolen. So yeah, you've now got a small ring.
Okay, well, just for now, I shall slip it onto one of my chubby fingers.
Okay, it fits somehow. And when you put it on, it is like a band of ice around your finger, and it doesn't seem to warm up. The metal doesn't seem to warm to the touch. It stays as cold as when you first touched it. And you do get this slight feeling as you put it on, this staticky feeling, and like almost like a static shock from it, which makes you kind of flinch slightly.
Oh.
Yeah, so it doesn't really, this feeling doesn't fade, it doesn't go away, it just stays kind of feeling cold and staticky. And it's a little odd, it's like having a dead limb. You feel like your finger's gone dead. You can still feel it and you can still have like sense of touch, but your finger feels so cold, and this occasional jolt, it just feels like it's dead, like you've been leaning on it in the wrong way. Okay, so next up is Kewin. So Kewin, while you're poking around the bones, you're able to identify more and more of these bones as being human remains. You can see that, you flip over with your sword, you flip over a bit of bone, and it reveals underneath like a half a rib cage. Just kind of lying there, and you see kind of scattered around the room, you see like these kind of like vertebrae. You just see various eclectic mix, and looking at it you can tell that this isn't from one person, this is from a multitude of different people. But perhaps to you what the most upsetting sight about this is as you're flipping through these bones, you come across a bone which is far thinner, far reedier than all the others. And it doesn't take much of a guess to maybe say that this is a child's bone, perhaps a forearm bone. And again, you can see these kind of gnaw marks into the bone, deeper indentations, perhaps either where the bone's slightly softer because it hasn't fully formed or hardened off yet. The child probably wasn't into adulthood. And yeah, it's really not a nice sight, but going through you can tell that these have been, whoever has been living here has been eating people. Okay.
I say it looks like somebody's not only eating humans, but this appears to be a child. What kind of monster is this?
Oh, that is appalling.
I think we may have something about this.
That is absolutely appalling.
Yes, this is just not right.
Okay. Elora, as you're searching around the table and other bits of the room with Esther, you're scrubbing around the table and you're looking at this, and you can see these kind of deep gouge marks where someone's clearly with a knife been like flicking off tally marks on whatever they're counting. But as you kind of start moving stuff around on the table, picking up plates and molding food, you find a surprisingly pristine letter. There is no name on the envelope, just a cracked open wax seal and a piece of paper inside.
Okay, so she's obviously going to have a look at that. She's going to open the letter, get it out, unfold it, and have a look at it.
So opening up the letter, it's on very thick, heavy parchment, clearly very rich, very expensive paper. There's a faint scent to it, as if the letter itself has been perfumed.
So
maybe a scent of sandalwood.
It's like a vellum, is it?
Yeah, it's a very, very thick parchment. Very, very fancy stuff. And written on it in script are 3 words. Take the lot.
Guys, there's a letter here. Paper, the vellum it's written on is really expensive. There's a wax seal. No name on the envelope, but it's got 3 words written on parchment. It just says, take the lot. Whatever that means. Oh, hang on. You don't think they're referring to the stuff that was in the basement of the church? Do you?
Possibly.
I'd-
Possibly.
I'd say so.
Are we able to recognise the wax seal?
But,
Is it an obvious? Is it just a blob of wax, or is it one that's been done, with a signet ring?
When you take a look at the letter and you flip it back over and match up the seal, you can see there's a chunk of wax missing. And make me, all of you in fact, can make me either a knowledge, nobility, or dissimilar, or a wisdom check, whichever you fancy.
I've got knowledge history. Would that help?
Yes, you
I've
can.
got
Yeah, I'll give you that.
knowledge, nobles, and royal,
Yeah, definitely. You
which
can
then
use
gives
that.
me a 17.
There's also knowledge local, if anybody wants to use that. What was the other? What was the other
Now
check
I've
you
got
said?
Or
religion and
straight wisdom. Yes, if you've got
wisdom.
knowledge, nobility, or history, you can use that. If you don't, make a straight wisdom check.
Ah, shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bugger. Right, okay.
In which case, I'm 17 all in.
I'll be
17.
a
Same as
10
me.
minus 1. So that's a 9 all in from Elora. Pants.
Yeah, and Ogvar will be a
And-
9 all in.
9 on it. Okay. Ogvar and Elora, you're looking at this, and something about this symbol, although it's slightly damaged, something about this symbol kind of twigs something in your brain, and you're kind of like, where have I seen that before? You kind of just can't put your finger on it. Both Kewin and Caddo, as you look at this symbol, you both get the sinking feeling of realization in your guts. As you both recognize this symbol, it's a symbol of Selhoff's City Lord.
Axum. Do you recognise this, guys? Because I'm not sure. Something rings a bell, but I don't know what it is.
I can't place it. No.
That's the seal. That's the seal of the City Lord, guys.
Axum. Really?
Yeah, that's his seal, all right. I recognise it anywhere.
Told you there's something rotten going on here. I knew it.
Do you agree, Kewin? Do you recognise the seal as his?
Yes, I'm just trying to keep my my temper here because he's obviously been in correspondence to this thing that has been eating people and children. I think we really do need to sort this bloke out.
I think you're right, Kewin. As much as it pains me to say it, I think we're going to be in Selhoff for a while until we get this guy sorted out, because we can't have city lords killing innocent people and children and stealing from the church, for heaven's sake. I mean, we have to make the assumption that he's authorised the theft from the church.
Well, judging by that letter, all the pieces seem to be falling into place. I know it's a bit of an assumption, it's a bit of a jump, but I'm guessing we're probably not far wrong.
We could have proof to publicly out him.
No, agreed. But I think it's fairly clear to us what's going on. Well, at least part of it, anyway.
Right. Well, if we can't get out, I suppose we better go back down the tunnel and go the other way.
I'm not
Yeah.
getting back in that minecart.
Well, it won't go uphill anyway, will it, Elora? So we're going to have to walk up the track.
Yeah, you'd be alright as long as nothing else comes down. But then there weren't any more carts, were there?
No.
Maybe a wisdom
Unless-
check.
Well, all of us.
All of us?
Oh, that's a nat
Just
20
Elora.
nat 20 minus 1, which is a 90.
Okay, with that, Elora, when you were thinking about it, you do remember that there was indeed a third cart.
Oh, crap. Guys, actually thinking about it from memory, there is still one more cart up there. Just saying, I'm not going to be standing in that track if something comes down.
wait for whoever rides the cart to turn up and ambush them. Find out
We
what
could-
they know.
We could be here for ages waiting for that, though, couldn't we?
I still think we need to find a way out of this door.
Well, perhaps we persevere with trying these locks. I mean, I know you won lockpit loonies, Elora, but
Will somebody
over
else
half-
have a go?
over half of us didn't actually have a go at it at all. Now, I'm not the most dexterous of people, but Esther, have you ever tried picking a lock?
When you look at Esther, she's almost kind of zoned out. She hasn't really been paying attention to this conversation. But when you look at her, you can tell she is visibly bubbling with rage. And she doesn't really appear to be absorbing any of the words you've said. And she's bubbling with rage to the point where she turns from you and begins to absolutely pummel one of these crates. And this crate, it's old, it's kind of breaking down, but she is kicking holes and punching holes through it, and you can see that as her fist hit it, every time her fist cocks back for another blow, you can see the smears of blood from her broken and like her torn knuckles. And it's not very long before the crate has in fact broken down and its contents spill out onto the floor. Esther stands there amidst this destruction, her shoulders kind of heaving, and you can't see her facial expression. She has her back to you, but all around her, on the floor, are various items. And as you look at these items, you can see that there's a couple of swords which are glowing with this kind of silvery light. There's a pair of boots, which also kind of have this kind of blue glow. And there are several other items. There's kind of bits of jewellery, some gold, some platinum that pour around her. And there's also what looks like some fabric pulled on the floor. There's just kind of bits strewn around her amongst the debris.
Right. Can Elora, looking at this, cast detect magic in the actual vicinity of all of these items?
Yeah. You cast detect magic and you can tell there is a strong magical feedback from all around Esther. Some, if not all of these items are in fact magical.
Guys, I know some of these items look like they're obviously magical, but the vast majority of them are. I think we need to collect these up, and my feeling is that we store them in Orland, and we deal with whatever they are later. Unless, of course, something here can help us. Anybody else got any ideas?
I think we should maybe speak to Esther. Ogvar will walk across and just put his hand on Esther's shoulder and say, "Esther, are you okay? That's quite an outburst. We haven't seen such from you unless you were in the arena."
As you place your hand on her shoulder, you can feel the silent sobs racking her frame. And when you look at her face, there are tears silently pouring down. And all you could hear her whisper under her breath is, "That poor child."
I know, it's terrible. And Ogvar will sort of he's put his hand on her shoulder, but he will sort of just put his arm around her type thing. It's a tragedy. We weren't here to help.
She kind of almost crumples into you, and this is perhaps the smallest. She's not a particularly tall woman, but this is the smallest you've ever seen her. And she suddenly looks like her age. She looks very frail and fragile.
Maybe it's best you take a little sit down for a while. And Ogvar will take his winter blanket out of his pack and fold it over a few times, put it on the bed, and just make sure she's sat down okay.
Yeah. So you guide over. She's still shaking. She's very clearly upset and very devastated about what's happened here. And you can tell, although she's a battle-hardened warrior, she's been through her fair share of scraps. Nobody expects a child to be involved in bloodshed, and this has really struck something within her.
Esther, there is evil that has been done here. I don't know what to say to you to make it any better. We are all just appalled by this. Just try to. I don't know. I don't know what to say to you, Esther. We're all feeling it. And we will get to the bottom of this evil. But we need to do this in a methodical fashion.
She looks at you and she nods silently. The tears are still running, but she kind of brings her sleeve up to her face and kind of uses her palm to kind of palm away the tears. And you see her kind of taking deep breaths and almost straightening herself back up, putting the iron back into her spine almost.
We'll put the puzzle pieces together, Esther, and we will get to the bottom of this, I promise you. I don't think there's anybody in this room that is not intent on getting to the bottom of this, and retribution needs to happen. I don't know what to say to you. It's terrible, but I'm going to focus on the information that we have, and I think we need to draw strength from that. It's the only way we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're together in this. We will get this done. Kieran, Cado, your men connected with the church. Esther has a kindred spirit in you that way. Ogvar's seen some terrible things done in his time. We're all devastated about this, but we will make this right. We will get this done together. And Elora's going to drop her eyes away. She's going to turn around and say to Ogvar, we need to collect this stuff up, and we need to leave this place. I'm going to turn to Cado and say to Cado, do you want to collect these bones? We don't know whose they are, but maybe we ought to take these back to the church.
We can't leave them here, and I'm beginning to think that perhaps some of these items that Esther has uncovered, although by accident, are some of the stolen items from the church.
I think you are correct.
I feel we're probably now at the stage where we need to empty all of the crates to see what else there is here.
I agree.
And take everything back that we can to the church, including the bone. And I'll get the bishop to consecrate the bones properly and see if these items are his as well.
Yeah, I think this is the way forward. We've got all the puzzle pieces. We need to get this bit done, and then we will go and seek our retribution in a different way. But
we can put all the stuff in the carts and push the carts back up the track, can't we?
Well, there was quite a steep drop there, I seem to remember. So
it's
I'm
going
not
to be
sure
a long walk carrying all this stuff otherwise, isn't it? Yeah. So we can try. I'm just thinking, depending on how much stuff we find. Certainly, I mean, I know Orland can carry some of it. I'm not sure Orland would want bones in him, though. So it's going to be a lot of journeys carrying it all if we just carry it. But we might be able to use the trucks to push it back up.
I don't know how you would get it back up the hill. Those trucks are going to be heavy. They're not big trucks, but they'll be quite heavy. And to push them up that kind of incline, I don't think they're going to go.
Well, we give it a try. If it doesn't work, then we're walking up the hill, aren't we? But
I think we should.
Unless we're going out the door. Unless we still try the door.
I think we should smash our way out the door as a last resort. But we need to get out of here, and all this stuff is coming with us.
Were there any more crates that haven't been explored?
Yeah, there's a couple. If you want to take the time to open them.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Take 20. You've got, this door's locked. You can't tell anyone's near. It's, if you just want to take as much time as you need to do this. When you pop open the crates, you find another crate which is kind of half filled with various bits. There's a couple of gems in there, some money, bags of grain which have got like the symbol of Avacyn on the sack, so they clearly come from church stores. There's a couple of other bits like that. The rest of the barrels you pop open, they're full of other bits of supplies which, looking at them, they're not really the holy quality grade. They're more kind of very poor quality, like pickled fish in a barrel. It's, you know, certainly not stuff the church would have in its cellar. So yeah, apart from this one crate that Esther smashed, you find a little more, but nothing else really. All the other crates are just full of like rags and blankets and stuff like that.
Okay, well, certainly even more of this stuff clearly belongs to the church. I mean, these bags of grain have got the church symbol on, so I think we've found at least some of the stuff that's been stolen from the bishop. It's how we return it to him, and it's the easiest way to get through the door and then get some guy on the docks to help us with a horse and cart or something, or to try and go back up the path. And I think I'm probably with Elora. If we can get through the door, we can coerce some local into helping us with a horse and cart to get it all back to the cathedral.
I wonder if I could melt the locks. We can either smash our way out, or I can try and melt the locks. It's up to
Esther,
you.
what are you like with locks? I know you didn't partake of lockpit loonies, but have you ever tried picking a lock, Esther?
Once or twice. I'll give it a go before we have to resort to any more violent means. And you can tell her voice is still quite thick with emotion. She's still quite wounded about what's happened here. But she has pulled herself together. You can see she's kind of got this resolve back. In fact, more than she had before. So she's going to attempt to unlock the locks. 5 and a 3. So no, Esther's no better. In fact, she's probably worse at lockpicking.
Guys, do you want me to try and melt these with some acid?
Anything to get out of there.
We've got to get out of the room somehow, haven't we?
If we could destroy the locks on the way through, then it prevents anybody locking it once we've left.
It's a quieter way of doing it as well. Okay. Elora is going to cast Orb of Acid Lesser.
Yeah.
She's going to do that 3 times, once for each lock.
Yeah.
So it's D20 plus BAB plus Dex. So
you're not really attacking anything.
Right. Okay.
You're not attacking something which has got AC. It's not a moving target. If you want to hit the door with acid, you're going to hit the door with acid.
Okay. She'll cast Orb of Acid once at each of the locked locks.
Yeah, that is enough. With 3 shots of Orb of Acid, that is enough. And you hear the hissing, bubbling, reactive sound of kind of melting metal as your acid gnaws through. And within those 3 shots, it has eaten through the acid and actually a good part of the actual door face. You can see that some of the locks have actually kind of melted themselves, rendering them completely useless, and the actual kind of stonework slightly ground away as well.
As they tentatively start tracking a trail, the tension within the team is palpable. Finding a barrier blocking their route, our paladin partakes in a potion, making him far more gassy than usual and allowing him to breeze beyond the blockade. Gaining access to the room, they set about their search, and it did not take long for the pieces of the puzzle to start slotting into place. Caddo acquired a rather curious ring, whilst Elora found an expensive parchment with some significant script. However, Esther was both enraged and inconsolable at the vile, dark deeds done that Cuin had uncovered, and it was this sheer rage that revealed a whole array of artefacts and items belonging to the church. A compelled Ogvar stepped up to offer both physical and moral consolation to his crushed companion. With the whereabouts of the were-at unknown, the valuable contents of the vault and some scattered skeletal remains, the party ponder the latest shocking turn of events, trying to decide on the correct course of action.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Having you as a listener means everything to us. So, whichever streaming service you choose to listen to us with, please give us a like, subscribe and follow. We would love for you to join us on our Facebook or Twitter page, where you can catch up with all of our latest news. While you're waiting for the next episode of Secrets of the Silver City, why not pop over to our website, where you can read all of the information about this campaign, from backstories to setting. All of the links are in the bio of this episode. Join us again next week for the next instalment. Thank you for listening.